We have a mayor who runs our schools like a business and believes that closing 160 plus schools has provided academic success for our children. Yet only 13% of Black and Latino children are graduating college and career ready. This mayor told us to judge him on his education record. Well, it has been a failure, and we need a mayor who will come in ready to heal the city and move us in a new direction, not a backwards direction. This election has the potential to shift the debate on public education in a real way.
Here's what I think we should do. If we have space in a school, we should do one of three things. One, we should say, let's figure out why we have that space, and let's see if we can make some really bust-out, great, gifted, and talented program in that school to attract people to come there. The second thing is they should have resources that most schools don't get a chance to have. Maybe it's a chemistry lab. Maybe it's another gym. That should be one of the things. And the third thing, we should let the charters come in and compete with those two other ideas. But I want them to compete on level footing. And I want the community to have a chance to say, you know what, rather than have a charter school there, I want a gifted and talented program, or I want an expanded library, and I want an expanded lab. But I want the competition to be fair and let the best ideas win.
Thank you.
In my idea book, 64 Keys to the City, one of the things I said is that we have to make it possible so that a teacher can remove that child from the classroom. Now, that by no means should mean that we discard that child, that we throw them in the dustbin, but we have to realize there's a constituency among the kids that are in that classroom that want to learn. And we have to make sure that we at least focus on that group like a laser beam so that they can have their rights as well. That doesn't mean I want to ignore the rights of that's been excluded.
Thank you.
You know, I talk about Tale of Two Cities. It shows up so strongly in education in so many ways. Our failure to invest in early childhood education and after school, something I'm trying to resolve by proposing a tax on the wealthiest New Yorkers so we really can make those core investments we need. But it shows up in suspensions too, and suspensions, when we turn to suspension, it's the cheap way out. We need a dedicated tax so we can have full-day universal pre-K in this town, so we can have after school for middle school kids who need it. We need to make these fundamental investments. It won't be done simply by trying to find savings in the Department of Education budget. I went before Abney back in October. And I said to them directly, look, folks who make $500,000 or more in this town are going to have to help us. I'm also going to turn to Albany and say, time to pay up on CFE. You've been making us wait long enough, and nothing will help our schools more than reducing class size. Let's make it the #1 mayoral priority in Albany.
Closings of schools are not an educational policy. We need to make that strong statement. Instead of giving up on those schools, we need to turn those schools around. A chancellor's district would allow us to do that. It would allow us to be able to focus increasing services to those schools, capping the schools, intensive curriculum, focus on teacher development. That's how you turn schools around. That's how you don't turn your back on schools. That's what I want to do.
Thank you, Mr.
I think that we need to look at the dollars that have been stripped out of the public school system, and in addition, we need to make the fight and go to Albany. There is still money that we are owed from Campaign for Fiscal Equity that so many of us fought for. We need to get that additional money.
The city of New York right now has essentially a flat tax where no matter how much you make, you pay the same rate of tax. That's silly. In the city of New York, we should have a progressive tax system. So I have proposed that the top 1%, or those who make $500,000 a year or more, pay a little bit more while giving a reduction to everybody below that point. It's a fairer tax system. It also creates multiplier effects for our economic recovery and provides revenues for our schools.
Thank you.
There's been too much corporatization of our schools in general. We need to stop treating schools as if they're corporate subsidiaries of Bloomberg Corporation and restore the learning environment in each and every one of our schools. What happened to the teaching? What happened to allowing the educational professionals to do their job in our schools?
We have to start focusing on when kids are born. I want to set up a department for early learning where we focus on 0 to 3. I want to set up pediatric wellness centers in low-income communities around the city where parents, doctors, and teachers work together in a multidisciplinary approach. So when these kids come into these school buildings, or 4 or 5, they're not so far behind that they never catch up.